Good afternoon and good morning for those of you who may be watching from the West Coast. My name is Larsen. I'm the Director of Archaeology for the Germanna Foundation. And we are here today to try something new. As you know, the Germanna Foundation is currently closed to the public. As you probably know, or actually probably could have guessed, and we will be so for the foreseeable next few weeks as we know it. We, the staff here, don't worry about us, we're practicing social distancing and frequently washing our hands. We hope that all of you are doing the same, and we sincerely hope that all of you are staying well during this time of getting ready for and hopefully making our way through the coronavirus. The staff, as we were talking, thought we'd like to reach out to you, our members and community, and have a little bit of a chance to socialize. And we thought maybe this 5 minutes with Germanna might be a way of doing this. It's an attempt on our part to kind of say we care and perhaps share a few minutes of socialization in the meantime. So hopefully we're going to give this a try and maybe some of you will find this interesting. Today we are sitting inside of the Hitt Archaeological Center. The Hitt Archaeological Center is not yet a year old. As you can tell, we are in an empty room largely today. Hopefully, you're probably hearing a lot of echo. I can hear it. Probably because we don't have many people working in here today. It's largely pretty quiet. But I thought I would take a few minutes to kind of talk with you and walk you through how we use this space. A year ago when we did our ribbon cutting, we introduced the space and showed everyone, but we largely just celebrated and had a bunch of cookies. I want to talk a little bit about how we actually use this building. So I'm going to have Ashley help me along. We're going to walk our way through the lab and kind of give you an idea about how we use this space the rest of the year when people aren't here for reunions or aren't visiting. And hopefully how we'll use this space coming up this summer as we start our new summer field season. So an important part of what we do is washing, and this is our big wash sink here. There's a set of tools here that we use for washing of artifacts. The bags of artifacts come in from the field. They have a unique number on them that tells us as archaeology where exactly that group of artifacts came from. Whoever is washing will open that bag up and spread it out on the tray here, and they'll start to make a separation. Some things can be washed with water, gently brushed with a toothbrush, or maybe a little larger brush as we need to. We have a colander in here to make sure that nothing gets lost into the muddy waters because the water does turn muddy rather quickly. And then we also have sometimes little tools like this pick here to kind of help scrape off tough dirt, that sort of thing. Other objects like metal objects, we don't want to put them in the water again. That will just make them corrode even faster. So we will actually use dry brushes, but we'll also do that cleaning here in this space. The cleaned artifacts are then put into a drying rack. This is one example of our drying racks here. It's got partitions so that unique group of artifacts can stay separated from other artifacts. We can take these partitions out, and if we have enough artifacts, the whole thing can be used for that, or we can separate into several different bags of artifacts at one time in the screens. Once this is loaded up, the person would just take it over here and put it into our rack. And this will be allowed to dry for 24 hours or so. When they're dried and ready, people can just take the racks out, set them over onto our table here, and they can actually begin to take the cleaned artifacts and separate them into bags by materials. So like all metals will go together. All ceramics, the broken dishes, that sort of thing will all go together into a bag. All things, they still have that large, unique bag number that we assign in the field. That stays with them through the whole process. But they'll put them in separate bags and then put those bags into a larger bag. Then we can set it aside until we get on to the next part of the processing, as we call it. That is actually the cataloging. So if you want to step over here, I have a little example for you. Cataloging is really about sorting. We want to take all those artifacts and sort of put them into unique piles of characteristics that are completely of interest to them. So I was trying to think about how can I explain this, and I thought maybe for the little ones, I remember watching Sesame Street when I was a kid, and there was this neat little operation where they had a little song saying one of these things is not like the other, one of these things just doesn't belong. I don't know if they still have that or not. My daughters are now in college, so it's been a while since I've watched, but I'm a big fan of the street, so I'm gonna hopefully know that everybody's looking at this. In this case, we have the 3 green, and for those who may be colorblind, I know I chose red and green. They also have a different shape. We would put these into a group together, and then this together, and then those items would be cataloged with unique numbers. All right, another way, a little more complex for those of you who are a little farther along than your Sesame Street years. Let's talk about fractions. Say we have artifacts represented by these different fractions listed here, all coming from that one group that we talked about. Here's 1/2, 2/4, and 3/4. Archaeologists are kind of doing the same sort of thing as simplifying fractions, and in this case, we know that 1/2 is very similar to 2/4. That 2/4 can be reduced to 1/2. So in a way, we can say, while these are different, this represents one group of artifact, and this is another distinct artifact. So we would split them out in that way. They don't necessarily absolutely have to be equal. These objects, say the 1/2 was really a green piece of glass, we could have 2 pieces of green glass that may belong to the same bottle, or they may be from different bottles, but we're going to catalog them together as having common enough attributes that one unique identifier will be enough for them. So that's what we do with our sorting. Over there on the table, Ashley has some pictures of our crew last year actually doing some of the work. We don't have much activity going on here today, but we want you to know that this place does hop during the season when we're doing this work. And we have a lot of people coming in and doing a lot of hard work doing this cataloging process. In the end, what we have, this is one example of one bag that came from the field. We take each of those items, they're all assigned a unique number, and then they're placed into their own bag. Then we take all of those bags, put them together, and then we place those into a larger context bag. We're kind of creating microenvironments within microenvironments by putting all these bags, and these just aren't your normal Ziploc bags. These are specialized museum quality bags that hopefully don't off-gas or harm the artifacts. They're pretty stable, and they're also pretty thick. It's not like we just go out and buy Glad bags or bags off the grocery store counter. We're trying our best to try and keep these artifacts as stable as possible for the long term. We place all those bags into one larger bag. Those bags are then collected and placed into a larger box, and then the box makes its way onto our storage. Now here, while we're doing this separation, could you turn the other way? I gotta do my password. Okay, I'm good. Oh no, didn't do it again. All right, here we go. We take all the attributes from our separations, our identifications, and we place them into a larger database. And this is just an example of the kinds of materials that we have. Each artifact has a unique number that can bring us back to this database. At the same time, we can use this database to reference back to this box of materials. So with that, we're going to travel and go into what may be one of the most important parts of the new Hitt Archaeological Center. This is our storage facility. This is where all of those completed catalog boxes are placed into storage for long term. We have a humidifier here. That we keep the tabs on the relative humidity. We also keep the temperature pretty low in here, trying to keep pests and other sources of the beginnings of decay for these artifacts at bay as best we can. And we organize them and lay them out so that when somebody comes in later and says, I want to look at all the green glass, remember we were talking about green glass before, they can call up that on our database, and then be able to reference that material here. We should be able to pull that box of artifacts off the shelves here and take them out to do further research. What's really exciting about this is that we are in the process of building a larger and larger database, almost like building a library. The database is our card catalog. These are our references. Our hope in setting this up, what I find so exciting about opening up the Hitt Archaeology Center, is that we're creating a series of records, data sets that people can use 30, hopefully 40, hopefully 50 years from now. They'll be able to come in and be able to call out this material, find the things that we identified years ago, and use that to answer their questions that they might have about Germanna history in the future. That's pretty exciting. And it's really because of all the help of our community around us and the Hitts as well, that we're able to do that we're actually coming along this far. We have this wonderful resource. It's an exciting period for us, and the archaeology is doing a lot. There's a lot of work involved. If you talk to an archaeologist, they would say that 3/4 of their time is spent doing this type of work, while only 1/4 of their time is spent out actually digging and recovering artifacts out of the ground. When we recover things out of the ground, that's just the beginning. This is what we have to do to make that useful information, and we're hopefully doing it for the next generations beyond us. That's pretty fun. That's about as close to time traveling as you can get. Pretty exciting stuff. With that, that's all that we wanted to do. I know I perhaps went over my time on 5 minutes, but I hope you won't hold that against me. Archaeologists tend to go on a little bit. We are excited about this. If you have any questions, feel free to make comments on Facebook, or if you want to contact us here at germanna.org on our website, that's great. Send comments, send us ideas of things you'd like to learn a little bit more about. Ask us questions. We're excited. We want to reach out. We want this to be a conversation. These 5 minutes in Germanna, we want to go beyond just us talking for 5 minutes. We actually want to hear back from you and hear about the things you're interested in. So hopefully this will be a fun experiment. Hopefully all of you have a good afternoon and a good week, and we'll be back next week. Thank you very much. Bye.